I own a law firm. We have 24 team members, and our revenue is about $3.5 million. Might be a little higher this year. And I'm wondering if buying a building is the next right move for the business, and really how I should go about evaluating that decision.
Great question. Well, here's some things I have learned, some of them the hard way and some of them by watching other people learn them the hard way. You have to be very careful and conscious of it, even if you know about it. You still have to stay on top of the emotion of letting the building dictate the business. The business instead needs to dictate the building. Let me give you an example. Okay, we bought a 55,000 square foot office building 20 years ago probably. All right, and within 4 months of buying it, it was full. Mm-hmm. And I ended up renting out 28,000 feet right behind us. And then I bought an office condo next door. And then we've ended up renting out 60,000 feet a mile away because our growth, we spilled out of the building into adjoining properties. You follow me?
Right.
And I had to be real careful that I didn't let the building dictate the size of our growth. And so if you bought a building for 24 people and 5 years from now you had 50 and you don't want to move because it's your building and you don't want to go be a renter now for 50, you now are letting the tail wag the dog. Is that making sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
So how long has this firm been open?
10 years. And we moved up in space. We're in our third office. So just like, we started off in one little room and then moved to a larger suite and then a larger suite. And now we really need double the space that we have.
Yeah, and you need another 25% of that for future growth. Mm-hmm. You need double the space to house what you got today.
I think we could fill it. Yeah, we're functioning, but we could definitely use more space.
No, I'm saying if you went into the space you need today, tomorrow you're already short. Right.
So I'd have to project a little bit into the future and maybe buy a bigger space than I think today.
At the growth curve you're on, you need to buy double.
Yeah.
What you need today.
Yeah, and so if I do that, let's say I felt comfortable, buying a big building. How do I really evaluate whether actually buying it, where I'm going to see an ROI, or whether that's a right business decision? Because
it's not a business decision; it's a real estate decision.
Okay.
Separate the two. Buy the building at a good purchase rate, at a good price, and pay yourself market rent, and that should give you a good rate of return on your real estate investment. And then if the firm outgrows that property at some point, move it. Okay. Don't let the fact that you own the building limit your growth. That's what I was talking about a few minutes ago. And so, just give yourself room to expand, and then also give yourself the mental permission to move beyond that building and sell that building or keep it as an investment and put someone else in there. By the way, that 55,000 square foot building I'm talking about, I still own it. It's a wonderful rental property, but no Ramsey product is in it. Because we moved out here on 70 acres and started building a campus. And so now we're in 600,000 feet. But so that, someday we'll outgrow this, hypothetically, and so hopefully it's a minute, but but there you go. So, I mean, that's what you're looking at. And so you don't want to burn brain calories managing the real estate instead of running the business.
Okay.
Because you're good at running a law firm. You've proven that. Don't let the ownership of real estate get in the way of that skill, because you're burning a bunch of calories over here trying to be a good landlord to yourself.
Okay, so what I'm kind of thinking is, if we find the right buildings for the right price and the numbers work out, do it, but just mentally have the mindset of we don't have to be here for the next 20 years.
Right. You won't be unless you don't grow.
Yeah. Well, I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, you won't be. I mean, because if you grow anywhere near the percentages that you've been growing in the first 10 years, 20 years from now, you'll definitely be out, even if you buy double. That's what the math says. So I don't know. You may reach a point of diminishing returns and say, I don't want any more lawyers. I have enough of them. That could be possible. But, you know, but I mean, and, you know, you may end up, you know, having some branches in other cities or whatever else as a larger law firm, a regional law firm, that kind of thing, rather than simply local. I don't know.
I think that's probably very likely. I think we're a regional firm, so I could see us, you know, opening an office in a nearby city. But
yeah, exactly. And that, you know, you're in Charlotte, and so, you know, you go over to the, you know, the Durham market or something, the Raleigh-Durham market or something like that, and get some other things going. That's very possible. And then, you know, you're not straining the actual piece of real estate at that point. But I would rather you have rental, be a tenant in every one of those cities and run the business well than let the fact that you own the real estate cause you to make bad decisions about how you run the business.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and because the amount of rent that you pay is not what's killing or causing you to grow.
No, our rent is really pretty reasonable. It's a small percentage of our expenses.
Yeah, I mean, payroll is your problem. You know, it's not in terms of your P&L. It always is with small businesses. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so you know, you manage payroll, and then rent should be, you know, 5-6% or something like that of your probably your top line or whatever it is, maybe a little bit more. But I mean, and then you don't have to think about anything. You don't have to think about air conditioners going out. You don't have to think about windows being cleaned. That stuff just happens automatically because you're a tenant. So there's an advantage to not having to burn brain calories on your real estate portfolio while you're running a business. But I love real estate, and so I have bought the properties, and I have moved into them. I'm not against that, but just make sure that you're not locked in. I'll give you another example for the sake of our listeners. It's not for you, but where I see people make a huge mistake is like the restaurant business, okay? Restaurants move because cities move. What 10 years ago was a cool area is an area that's not safe to go in. What 10 years ago was not safe to go in is now the cool area. And so, and if you own the stinking building and you don't move your restaurant to where it needs to go to because you're the owner, then the real estate's telling the restaurant what to do instead of the restaurant telling the business what to do. But if you were a tenant, the lease run out, you're going to move out there on the cutting edge and be in the cool neighborhood again. And so that's the problem with these kinds of things, and especially when you've got something that is very retail driven. Now, you're not. You're a destination site. We're a destination site, so we don't struggle with that as much. But, you know, be careful to be, you know, in the area. Go ahead and be in an area that's a little green that the market is growing towards, and go ahead and buy something a little bigger than you need. And that's for most of us out there. And always pay cash. If you're not paying cash, don't buy a building, period. You don't need the problems that you know, owing a mortgage creates. I'd much rather be a tenant. Much rather be a tenant. There's nothing wrong with being a tenant when you're in business. Nothing wrong with that. And buying the real estate does not fix all of your business problems. It adds business problems. So, but you can make more money owning the real estate. So that's good. Real estate's a good investment. And again, I've done it. I love real estate. So I think you're on track to do that. Good question, Mary. Sounds like you got it on the run. I'm proud of you. Very well done.